Everyone stared in shock at Goku as he stood in the arena, surrounded by a radiant aura unlike anything they had witnessed before. His hair rose, glowing with brilliant white light that seemed to consume the sky. And when his eyes opened, they gleamed like compressed suns, golden and piercing, burning with fury that made the ground tremble. This wasn't just another transformation. It was something beyond Ultra Instinct. Whis, Gohan, Krillin, even Vegeta standing in his corner. Each one froze in place, overcome with awe and primal unease. Goku, eyes closed, was listening to a voice from within, echoing like thunder through his consciousness. It was Goten, his beloved son, whose presence remained within him even after death. Goku sighed with gratitude, whispering, "My son, you left a piece of yourself within me. Your strength, your pain, your faith. Nothing of your sacrifice will be lost. I promise you that." Then he snapped his eyes open, golden light blazing with such intensity it shook the air around him. His vow thundered. "Goten, I swear, even if the entire universe stands against me, I will avenge you. I will make them pay for what they took from you." As he stretched his hands and began to charge energy, space trembled around him. His roar shook the earth and split the ground beneath his feet in jagged lines. His friends staggered back, stunned and terrified. Even Whis dared not approach. The shockwaves didn't stop at Earth. They radiated outward, reaching across dimensions. They reached the distant realms of the gods of destruction, striking them like a physical blow. Belmod, Champa, and the other gods felt crushing pressure bearing down on them. Some muttered with concern, "This is unprecedented power." Others objected vehemently. "If we allowed this to continue, none of our rule will remain." In the Grand Palace, Zeno clapped and laughed with childlike joy. "Wow, our hero is back. This is so much fun." But the Grand Priest's eyes darkened with fury. He thought to himself, "Enough! This has gone too far. He threatens my children. I must act now before all is lost." The trembling ceased, but silence heavier than any storm followed. Goku stood still, eyes shut, fighting an internal battle to control this transformation. His friends struggled to catch their breath. Krillin whispered, "Is that Goku or something else entirely?" Gohan said firmly, "This power doesn't feel like warrior strength. It's beyond the reach of even kings." All eyes turned to Whis, waiting for his judgment. He sighed deeply, his voice grave as he declared, "What I see before me, no one has achieved. It's a rare fusion between Ultra Instinct and Super Saiyan transformation, beyond description. When Goten's power merged with Goku's, he embodied the technique within a Super Saiyan form. Yet, I believe this transformation is incomplete. It can go deeper." Everyone was stunned into silence. Vegeta nearly exploded with rage, his fists trembling violently as he shouted within himself, his pride burning like fire. "Kakarot, once again you surpass me." He's reached a point where he can toy with the technique itself and merge it with Super Saiyan. "How am I supposed to endure this? He's 2 steps ahead of me, 3 steps ahead, always ahead. I can never catch him." But Beerus, standing just a few steps away, wasn't sharing their awe or confusion. He was tense to the very core, staring at Goku, whose blazing golden eyes held nothing but pure vengeance and controlled fury. Goku began walking slowly, deliberately, heavily towards Beerus. Each step was like a blade cutting through the breath of those watching, each footfall echoing with weight and purpose. Whis was sweating, troubled thoughts racing through his mind at lightning speed, his diplomatic training warring with his duty. There is no way Beerus can withstand this power alone, he thought desperately. I must intervene somehow. But if I do, I'll wound his pride irreparably. His dignity and honor mean more to him than his life. Goku stopped right in front of Beerus, raising his hand slowly toward. D's him without uttering a single word, letting his presence and power speak for itself. Beerus found himself in a position no one would envy, with every gaze in existence fixed upon him, every eye watching, waiting. Unable to allow himself to appear weak or afraid before everyone assembled, Beerus roared, his voice shaking the cosmos itself, cracking reality around him. I will leave no trace of you in existence, Goku. I swear it on my name as a god of destruction. His body ignited with a torrent of destructive energy, unleashing an attack born of wounded pride and long suppressed fury that had festered for years. It was an explosion unlike anything ever witnessed from Beerus before, a cataclysm of power and rage combined. Goku's friends backed away, screaming, their voices raw with fear and desperation. "Goku!" they cried out. They thought he had been swallowed entirely by the devastating storm. Even Gohan cried out, his voice breaking, "Father!" his heart sinking as he watched the energy consume the space where Goku stood. But in the midst of the rising dust and flying debris, only one chilling sentence came from Whis' lips, his calm tone striking like lightning through the noise. He hasn't even used the slightest fraction of his new power yet. He's barely tapped into it. Silence reigned for a moment, heavy and absolute. Then the dust finally cleared, dissipating like smoke on the wind. Goku stood exactly where he had been before the attack, unmoved, unshaken. His hand still raised toward Beerus in the same position. His body bore not even the faintest scratch, not a single mark or bruise. More than that, his expression showed no concern at all, as if he hadn't felt anything in the slightest, as if the attack had been like a bee, wreathed against his skin. Beerus's eyes widened with terror and disbelief, his body trembling even more than before, his confidence shattered. On another distant planet, Champa watched silently, biting his teeth so hard they might crack. Rage consumed him, not just because Beerus had been struck down, but because Beerus's opponent was Goku, the one adversary who always seemed to rise higher. He slammed his hand down, shouting with fury, "That damn Goku, always breaking past every limit, always rising further. I won't allow him to rise any higher. I must act." But Vados, at his side, closed her eyes and shook her head slowly, her voice calm but chillingly cold and certain. "Do not pursue the thought you're entertaining, Champa. Intervening now is not an option, not a choice available to you. What you see before you lies far beyond your reach, beyond your comprehension. To approach this conflict could mean your annihilation and mine." Goku turned his golden gleaming eyes back toward Beerus, his cold features carrying a razor-edged mockery and contempt. His voice was deep and cutting, each word a blade. "So this is how the god of destruction ends. I expected you'd at least move me a few centimeters, but it seems I'll have to hasten your erasure, Beerus. I'll end this quickly." Before anyone could comprehend what was happening, Goku vanished like a flash of lightning, reappearing directly before Beerus in a space of absolute stillness. A single strike, impossibly fast, faster than perception itself, drove into his chest with bone-shattering force. No one even saw the motion, not even Whis, who muttered in shock, "That's speed! I've never witnessed anything like it. Nothing. Not even in my eons of existence." Beerus crashed into the ground with brutal force, his body sprawled and gasping, drowning in helplessness and pain. Goku advanced with calm, heavy steps, each one radiating dread and promise of annihilation. His voice was icy, merciless, final. "Don't worry, I was only testing the effect of this new transformation, seeing how it responds to my will. That blow that sent you crashing down, it was only 1% of my power." "Only 1%!" Everyone shuddered violently. Even Vegeta's eyes flew wide in disbelief, his mind reeling. 1%! And this transformation isn't even complete yet. He can go even deeper, Piccolo muttered in shock, his voice barely audible. "If that's true, if only 1% can do that, then Beerus doesn't stand a chance. He cannot win." Rage seethed inside Goku like a sealed volcano about to erupt, his voice trembling with restrained fury and controlled power. "I've defended you, Beerus. Even when my own son's wrath burned against you, I defended you. I held back his fury and mine. But you had no hesitation in stealing him from me, in taking his life. Now I will not spare you. I will show you no mercy. The ground quaked with every step he took, resonating with his power. Beerus barely lifted his head, panting heavily, gasping for breath as he saw Goku's shadow looming closer and closer. Even Whis stood frozen in conflict, torn between the duty to protect Beerus and the reality that bound his silence and inaction. Goku raised his hand, golden energy flaring around it like a sun, his blazing eyes fixed on Beerus with pure intent. His voice rang cold and steady. Absolute. This is your end, Beerus. Your reign ends here, today, in this moment. But before he could release his power, before the final blow could fall, the very fabric of space shook as a mighty voice boomed from Zeno's palace above. It was the Grand Priest, angrier than anyone had ever heard him. His fury transcendent and overwhelming. Whis, intervene immediately. Do not allow this to continue any further. The words carried the weight of a divine command, absolute and undeniable, leaving Whis no choice but to obey. In an instant, faster than any movement he had shown before, faster than light itself, he shattered the barrier of time and space and lunged toward Goku. The ground erupted beneath the impact, thick clouds of dust rising to choke the skies and blind all sight. Krillin screamed, "What's happening? Did Whis attack Goku? Is he fighting against him now?" Gohan stood frozen, unable to believe what his eyes were witnessing, his mind struggling to process the implications. The confrontation was absolute. When the dust cleared, the scene was undeniable and shocking. Goku still stood in place, his body unmoved by the assault, though a faint red line marked his cheek, a single shallow wound. Yet his eyes remained cold, as though nothing had occurred, as though a god's full assault were beneath his notice. Whis, meanwhile, had pulled Beerus far away from the brink of obliteration, positioning himself between them. His expression was more serious than anyone had ever seen in all of history. His voice sharp and commanding as he shouted, "Enough, Goku! You cannot continue further. You'll bring catastrophe upon the entire universe if you continue. Everything will collapse into chaos." But Goku's reply was merciless, chilling in its calm certainty and finality. Catastrophe. Beerus brought it first when he killed my son. And you, Whis, you have brought disaster upon yourself by defending him, by standing in my way. I will not overlook your interference. I will remember and I will repay. Even if the whole universe stands against me, I will never forget my son's blood spilled by his hand. You're next. Goku surged forward with impossible speed beyond the comprehension of all who watched and struck Whis with a devastating blow that shook the earth itself, sending shockwaves across continents. For the first time in eons, Whis' body was hurled back, crashing to the ground, his power unable to protect him from this new force. His friends gasped in horror, unable to believe what they had just seen, their minds refusing to accept the reality before them. The danger was mounting. The stakes were higher than ever before. In the royal palace, the Grand Priest watched the scene, his expression growing more tense with every moment that passed. He clenched his fists, his knuckles white with strain, muttering to himself, "No, no, this cannot continue. At this rate, Whis will be forced to fight with his full power, and the universe will be destroyed in their battle. If I must, I'll defy Zeno's orders himself and step in directly. I cannot allow this catastrophe to spread across all creation." The remaining gods of destruction felt the pressure mounting, felt death drawing closer with each passing second. Goku advanced slowly toward Whis, raising his hand once again, preparing energy vast enough to erase existence itself from reality and remake it anew. His voice rumbled like thunder. "Believe me, Whis, even if you unleash your full strength, my blood is boiling, and you cannot stop me while I bear the weight of avenging my beloved son. Nothing will stop me." But Whis, despite his injuries, smiled with an unnatural calm, his voice carrying an unsettling edge that made everyone pause and reconsider. "Congratulations, Goku. You've now reached 50% of my maximum power, half of what I can truly do." Everyone froze instantly, their breath catching in their throats. Krillin shouted in disbelief, his voice hoarse and strained. 50%? That's impossible. That cannot be. Gohan swallowed hard, his voice trembling with a mixture of awe and terror. Father, you've surpassed the limits of reason itself. You've gone beyond anything we thought possible. Yet Goku remained unmoved by the revelation, his cold gaze never leaving Whis as he charged a killing blow of immense power and consequence. But before he could release it into existence, space split apart with a shining beam of light cutting through everything. Vados appeared, her face cold as ice itself, and beside her stood a furious Champa, his voice booming like thunder through the arena. Shock gripped everyone. No one had imagined a destroyer from another universe would intervene at this moment in this way. But Champa, his round face twisted with fury and defiance, roared with all his power. I came because I swore one day I'd defeat Beerus and claim my victory. I'll never allow anyone else to destroy him. He's mine. Goku won't take that honor from me. Beerus, still lying on the ground, lifted his eyes toward his brother. With effort and pain, he rose slowly to his feet. He said nothing, but his expression betrayed a readiness to accept the challenge, to join forces with Champa for the first time against a common enemy far greater than themselves. Their eyes met, and for once, brothers agreed on a single enemy. Goku smirked, his golden eyes glinting with ruthless confidence and absolute certainty. His voice was calm, mocking the very notion of their combined strength. Even if you unite, even if you stand together, it won't matter. I could end your lives in seconds, but I'll give you the honor of trying. 1 minute of fun with you, that's all I'll allow. Both destroyers felt the insult burn through them like fire, and they attacked in unison. Their deadly strikes aimed straight for Goku with everything they had. But the shock was immediate and devastating. Their hands froze before touching him, as though bound by an invisible force too strong to overcome or break free from. The instant Goku released a blazing surge of aura, the light erupted like a volcano, blasting them both away, tumbling across the ground, gasping and struggling. Refusing to give up despite the pain, they regrouped at a distance and unleashed a storm of attacks relentlessly. But every blast dissolved into nothingness, fading like smoke before Goku's overwhelming presence. His power was simply too great, too vast to challenge or overcome. Meanwhile, Vegeta stood frozen, in veins bulging with fury beneath his skin, his heart burning with rage and jealousy. His heart could no longer bear watching Goku outshine him so completely, so utterly. Suddenly, he spun around only to find Universe 7's Supreme Kai standing close behind him, watching him with a strange intensity as though a dangerous idea had just taken root in his mind, something dark and forbidden. Goku was preparing to unleash his final strike, his aura threatening to tear the world apart, to rend reality itself asunder. A confident smile crossed his face as he declared, "The minute is over. You have failed. This is your fate. Death comes for you now." But before he could fire, before the power could be released, a violent explosion thundered from the sidelines with shocking suddenness. Everyone froze, eyes darting toward the source. As the dust cleared, the sight before them struck like lightning through all their hearts. Universe 7's Supreme Kai lay lifeless on the ground, his aura completely gone, dissipated into nothingness. The shock was immeasurable and incomprehensible. He wasn't felled by some unknown enemy, but by Vegeta himself, acting on his own volition. Standing stiff, his face grim, eyes burning sharp with barely controlled fury, his body trembled, as though a blaze consumed him from within. Their friends screamed in horror and disbelief. "Vegeta, what have you done? Why?" But Vegeta stood silent, his secret locked away in his heart where no one could touch it. Goku froze, his face tightening with disbelief and concern for what this act truly meant. The greatest impact was on Beerus. His body shook violently, his energy beginning to fade as understanding dawned. For the death of a Supreme Kai meant the death of a god of destruction was inevitable. He collapsed to his knees, gasping, struggling for breath, then turned his weary eyes to Whis and spoke in broken words, his voice fading to nearly nothing. Whis, I never thought this would be my end. Take care of yourself and protect the sanctities. Protect what remains. He looked to his brother, Champa, his features twisted with sorrow and restrained anger beyond measure. You fool! How dare you leave me now in this moment? And in one devastating instant, Beerus's aura completely vanished. His body dissolved into nothingness, leaving behind only a crushing emptiness where he once stood. The air itself felt hollow.